London wasn't supposed to matter. 2,000 years ago, it was a swamp on the Thames. Roman soldiers griped about the rain and the mud. A few warehouses, a bridge, some ships unloading wine and pottery. Nothing special, just another outpost. Fast forward to today. Walk through the square mile at dawn and you hear it, the low hum of servers, the click of keyboards, the quiet trill of billions moving before most people have had coffee. London is one of the richest cities alive. Its economy alone clocks in at £618 billion a year. Per person, that's 69,000. One city, 13% of Britain's population, 24% of its output. The machine never sleeps. So how did a muddy riverbank become this? It wasn't genius. It wasn't destiny. It was a system. A cold, patient system built on trade, debt, empire, and the willingness to bend every rule that got in the way, and the uncomfortable part. That system still runs the show. Let's go back. By the 1600s, London already had the basics. A deep water port guilds that protected merchants. A river that connected England to the world. Wool went out. Spices, silk, and sugar came in. But the real shift happened when England decided it wanted an empire. In 1600, Queen Elizabeth granted a charter to the East India Company. A handful of London merchants got a monopoly on trade east of the Cape of Good Hope. They weren't soldiers. They were accountants with ships. They bought low in India, sold high in Europe. The crown took a cut. Everyone got rich. Then came the wars, endless. Wars with France, Spain, the Dutch. Kings needed money fast. Taxes were slow, borrowing from Italian bankers was expensive. So in 1694, a Scottish merchant named William Paterson had an idea. A private bank, chartered by Parliament, would lend the government £1.2 million. In 12 days, the money was raised. The Bank of England was born. It wasn't just a loan. It was the invention of modern national debt. The government paid interest. The bank issued notes. Merchants deposited gold and got paper they could trade. Suddenly, London had liquidity. Suddenly, a government could fight a war without emptying the treasury first. The city smelled opportunity. Insurance started in Edward Lloyd's coffee house, ship owners betting against storms and pirates. Stocks traded in the streets. By the 1700s, London had overtaken Amsterdam. One bubble proved it. 1720. The South Sea Company. It promised to take on Britain's war debt in exchange for a monopoly on trade with South America. Shares exploded. Tailors, maids, bishops bought in. Then reality hit. There was no trade monopoly worth having. The bubble burst. Fortunes vanished overnight. Suicides spiked. Parliament investigated, and yet the system didn't die. It adapted because the real product wasn't trade. It was trust in London's markets. The industrial revolution poured fuel on the fire. Cotton from American plantations. Sugar from the Caribbean. Tea from China. But here's the part they gloss over in the textbooks. To balance the books with China, Britain turned to opium. Grown in India under East India Company control, smuggled into China despite imperial bans. By the 1840s, opium sales made up nearly 15% of colonial revenue in some years. When China pushed back, Britain went to war twice. Gunboats won. Hong Kong became British. The silver flowed back to London. At home, the profits didn't stay in the docks. They moved into the city. Banks financed railways, factories, mines across the empire. The pound became the world's reserve currency. By the late 1800s, more than half the planet's trade was financed in sterling, cleared through London. The uncomfortable math, empire supplied the raw materials and captive markets that let Britain industrialize faster than anyone else. Historians still argue the exact percentage sum. Say colonial trade never topped 14% of GDP, but without it, the takeoff doesn't happen. Then the 20th century arrived like a reckoning. 2 world wars, debt piled up. The empire shrank. Factories moved north, then overseas. By the 1960s, London looked like a fading aristocrat, still elegant, but the money was thinning. New York had taken the crown. The city survived on Eurodollars, American money parked offshore to dodge US rules, light regulation, English law, a time zone that split the difference between Tokyo and New York. It was enough to stay in the game, but staying wasn't thriving. Enter Margaret Thatcher, 1979. Foreign exchange controls lifted, 1986. The Big Bang, fixed commissions gone. Foreign banks welcomed. Electronic screens replaced the old trading floor chaos. Overnight, the London Stock Exchange went from £500 million daily turnover to over £2 billion by 1995. American, Japanese, German money flooded in. Canary Wharf rose from the docks like a glass monument to the new order. The machine had rebooted. Today, the city and Canary Wharf together handle more international bank lending, foreign exchange trading, and marine insurance than anywhere else. Derivatives, hedge funds, private equity, English contract law is still the global default. The same rules that protected 17th century merchants now protect. Trillion-dollar bets, but look closer and the irony bites. London's wealth is strangely detached from the rest of Britain. The pound stays strong for finance while manufacturing hollowed out. The Bank of England's policies have long favored the square mile over the factory towns. One city thrives, the rest borrows from it. The fiscal surplus London sends to the Treasury 32 billion in some years keeps the United Kingdom solvent. Yet the north-south divide grows, the super-rich buy Mayfair flats as safe deposit boxes. While nurses commute 2 hours, the hype says London is a meritocracy of talent and innovation. The reality is older. It's a clearinghouse, a place where global capital hides, compounds, and extracts. Russian oligarchs, Gulf sovereign funds, Chinese billionaires, they all park money here because the rules are clear, the courts fair, and the tax loopholes creative. Some call it the world's dirty money laundry. Others call it liquidity. Either way, the system works exactly as designed. Now the stakes are rising again. Brexit cost the city 800 billion in relocated assets and thousands of jobs. New York edged ahead in some rankings, Dubai, Singapore, even Paris are building rival hubs. Meanwhile, the machine that made London rich, light regulation, open capital flows, faith in perpetual debt is the same one that amplifies every global shock. A pandemic, a war in Ukraine, a banking scare in America, the hum gets louder, the risks sharper. Because here's the quiet truth no one says out loud on the trading floor. London didn't get rich by making things. It got rich by moving money better than anyone else. For 3 centuries that was enough. But when the world decides it no longer needs a middleman, or when the next bubble pops harder than the South Sea, what then? The skyscrapers will still gleam, the servers will still hum, the river will still flow. But the question lingers in the fog. How long can one city stay this rich when the system that built it was never really about the city at all?